From the home page, the first place to go look, because it's where the bulk of the day-to-day activity happens, is where your support people will spend most of their time. This is where we search for all of the distributors that are in the system, and then we can go and actively deal with something in their account. So if we click the button that says distributor on the left-hand menu, you'll see that you can search by some of the simple things: username, name, order number, and rank. If you click the intermediate options, you'll see that it pops open credit card ID number, paperwork ID, social security, email, phone, and IP. And then for the advanced options, we can actually get into some date ranging. So this is where you can sort of slice and dice your data for a number of different reasons. A, just because you're looking for one guy to go and take a look at what's going on with his account. B, you may want to send a message to everybody's members lounge for this interface. So for right now, let's just click the search button without putting anything into any field, which will bring us back the entire distributor set. And because this is a demo system that we've done some demo commissions on, you'll see that most of the usernames are sim_something. So there's nothing too creative in here. We just ran our simulation engine on a binary with a coded bonus front-end comp plan in order to have something to show you guys. On the user search function, you'll see that you've got all these distributors showing up. You'll see on the very right-hand column something that says message user. Because emails in today's world are pretty much useless, the amount of them that get killed by either spam filters at the server side, spam filters at the user side, right now email deliverability runs about 30%. So to rely upon emails for important information to your members is kind of like suicide. So what we have is we actually have a very positive messaging system built right into the system. So if you were to click any of these boxes on the right hand side, you could actually say, I want to send these 3 guys a message. So you'd click on those 3 guys, you'd scroll to the bottom, and you see a little button called Send Custom Message. Let's just click that. So what it does is it just pops up a place where you can put in the subject and the body of the message you wish to send. And then when you click Post, what it's going to do is it's going to send them an email saying you've got a message waiting for you in your members lounge, as well as post that message to their members lounge. And when they go to log into their members lounge, they're going to have to agree they've read that message before they can do anything at all within their members lounge. So it's absolutely positive communication. No member can come back on you and say, but I didn't see it. I didn't get your email. You should really refund all of my points because I flushed because you didn't tell me what I was supposed to do. So it eliminates all of the distributor whining because there's no way to hide. The minute they click, yes, I've understood and read this message, it stamped their IP address, it stamped their date and time that they've read it. It's very, very hard for them to come and make a complaint. And you'll realize soon after you get running as an MLM organization, distributors are liars, they're cheats, they're thieves, and your life becomes trying to control the kindergarten. Our system is there to help you control the kindergarten. For the moment, let's just go into SIM1033, and we do that by going down the ID number list. You'll see on the left-hand side, click on the 10033, and we'll go take a look at this guy who seems to have made a lot of money from the simulations. So you'll see by clicking that, you're now in sort of customer service and admin control. Everything that you can do in the members lounge, you can do through admin with some more features. So there's no real reason to enter into a members lounge to look at something because we've brought it all forward into the what we call distributor maintenance section, which is where we are right now. So if we just quickly go through what's there, I mean, it's all your name, address, phone number, all that kind of stuff. Scroll down till you get to the address list. Our address functionality is a little bit unique in that what we have learned over the years is members typically cannot type their own address correctly twice in a row. In fact, they usually can't type it correctly once in a row. So what we found was as members are constantly using the auto ship function to prospect people across the country. In other words, they come in and they change their address like they're being sneaky to their friend's address in New York when they live in Los Angeles, and you ship their product directly to New York, and now they try to prospect their friend that way. That's really cool, but then when they go to retype their address in, because they only have one place to put an address, they typically make a mistake and then you get a bounced package, and that sucks because the first time they signed up you got a bounced package and you had to call and mess around and figure out their address to get them their package. So you end up with this mistake occurring over and over and over. What we do instead is we let the system track an unlimited number of addresses, and the member will simply swap back and forth between which one they want to be their shipping address. So they can have 15 miscellaneous addresses in there, and then they say, hey, I'm going to swap this one into my shipping address. And that way their address is always there in the fixed form, for them to come back to as they do that. So again, rather than try to teach your members not to do it, we've just sort of built the system around some of the most common ways members use the system to prevent those errors from happening. Because it's a fairly substantial cost that most people starting an MLM don't realize. Bounced packages are a major pain in the butt. That's a little bit about our addresses. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see the status section. In the status section, this is where you can change their username. So you have the opportunity in the system to allow the member to change the username themselves from their member's office, or you can say that, no, we're not going to let you change your username. We're only going to change it if you want to. Our recommendation is always that you do not allow members to change their username, because you will drive your support people insane. So your support people will get very good at starting to figure out who's who in the zoo, and that's done by username staying consistent. So flicking the switch in configuration to off for a username is usually a very smart idea, but if the member really needs to change it for some reason, or you need to change it, this is the section you would change it. Then you've got status, which is, active, cooling off, suspended, terminated. So there's a bunch of statuses that trigger certain things in the system, like suspended will cancel any requests for withdrawals, make them not able to log into their members lounge, but not take them out of the tree. So you can unsuspend them, put them back in. So the minute you have a problem with the guy and you think he's doing some wrong things, you suspend him, he's knocked out of the system. Once you've agreed that he's okay, you put him back and he can re-request his funds. Terminated is much more serious. Terminated takes everything away and puts them up for compression should your commission plan have compression. So they would actually then be compressed in the next time. So there's a bunch of statuses that are tied to specific things in the system. You can see that the sponsor in this case is base. You can see that the placement is corp, profit center 1, side 1. This is a multiple center binary that this particular system we're looking at is set up for. You have the ability to change placement. So the answer to the question that most people ask is, can we move people around? Absolutely, and this is how you do it. You simply put the new place that you want them to be, and they will move. So for example, currently placement is corp, profit center 1, side 1. So that means this guy's on the left of the username corp underneath his profit center number 1. If you wanted to move him somewhere else, you would change to the username that you want the person now to be underneath. You put in what profit center, and in this case it's a binary, so you'd put in side 1 or 2. If it was a matrix, it could be side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 based upon your leg numbers. A unilevel, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 99, 100, 105. That's how you would do the move, keeping in mind that when you move someone, you move them and everyone underneath them. Sometimes moves take 2 steps because you got to move them and then you got to move the people underneath them back. It just depends what you're trying to do, but the interface supports all of that. Continue to scroll down, you'll see personal preference column. This is where we put in some controls, because remember what I said in the beginning. Do you guys watch House at all? House on TV, he always says, patients are liars. Unfortunately, networkers are also liars. So we have to be careful for the sake of the company to control without the members sort of knowing they're being controlled. So here's a place where we've actually got the ability for you to override some things that the members think they should be able to do. So for example, require email downline approval. So we've got an email blaster that anyone in the members lounge can send an email to all their downline, which is fantastic until one of your guys is starting to consider a move to another company and cross-sponsoring. So the minute you start to get a bit suspicious, you can flick this little switch to yes, which will actually make his downline emails not go in real time. You'll have to approve them in admin before they go. There's also an override where you can actually say, no, we want the whole system to operate that. Don't let anybody do it. And then you could come here to override for a guy you trust to let him do blasts. So it can work. Everybody can't do it, or everybody can do it. And you can then give special permission in whichever direction you want. Also, we have a member-to-member email function. So you may lock a guy out of downline emails because downline emails, one touch of a button, and he might send, if you're a binary, he could send to 100,000 people. Member-to-member email, there's the ability within the system for a member to send another member an email, kind of like in Facebook. There's also Facebook messaging features type things. But a member can send another member an email. That's less dangerous because for a guy to get to 100,000 people, he'd have to spend the next 14 years doing it. So you may lock him out of lock him out of downline emails, but still allow him to have member-to-member so he doesn't fully pick up on the fact that you're now monitoring him. Right? And then when he comes back on, well, hang on, I sent a blast and it didn't even go until the morning. What's going on? Your system's broken. Oh, yeah, sorry, the server looked like it was having troubles. You just make an excuse. It's all good. He doesn't need to know what's really going on, because the last thing you want a member to know is that you're controlling his communication, because then you won't catch him. right? Your whole concept is if someone is trying to cross-sponsor, wouldn't you rather know it than have him know that you're watching and not try and do it in a way that you can't see? So again, it sounds a bit spy-like, but it's to your benefit to figure out what someone's doing without them knowing you've figured it out. And then the About Me link, there's actually the ability for a member to have on all of their replicated sites, you can have the member have a page that's for them where they put up their picture, they put up their story. So again, on the same security thing, he may have enabled for that link to show, but you may have said he's trying to prospect for Zango on that link, so we're going to turn that off on him. So this is sort of where you lock down a distributor when they've been bad people. A little bit lower down, this is where if you're training your support people correctly, every time the phone rings, if you do take phone support, which is incredibly expensive, so it's not recommended, but if you do, or eventually you do, it's recommended that every time someone phones in, the first thing your support people do is bring the guy's record up into this section, right? And then come in here, and absolutely every single phone call should be logged with a heading and a comment of what went on. That'll then start to form a distributor history of everything went on. And then what also happens here is every time they submit an FAQ or a question through the FAQ engine, the question and answer will also get stamped here. So this becomes sort of the central CRM functionality where no matter how the members tried to interact with you, it's tracked here. And a quick little story, when I was involved in Melaleuca, what I realized very early on is they have 1,400 CSRs and they didn't have a system like this. They still don't to this day. So what would happen is I'd get something that I didn't like, and the real rules in Melaleuca are you send back the empty bottle and they'll send out whatever else you want instead. But what I realized was if I just keep calling, I'll get someone who will tell me, don't worry about it. Keep the empty bottle and we'll send you out what you want anyways. So sometimes it would take me 14 phone calls to support to get my way, but they didn't know I'd called 14 times. So Melaleuca had 1,400 support reps. Let's see, if I called 14 times every time, maybe others did the same thing. Maybe they only needed 700 support reps, but they didn't have a system like this to, in our system, if someone did that, if they sent you an email support, or not email, but through our FAQ system, and they asked you a question, and then they picked up the phone and called, you'd literally be able to say, hang on, Sue answered your question by email. You logged into your members lounge. You agreed that you read the answer. Why are you phoning us and asking the same question? Eliminates all of the garbage that your distributor force will try to play. So what'll happen is for the first few months, because not everybody has software like this, they're used to companies not knowing one side from the other. So they'll try all their games, and every time your support people bust them, they're going to be going like, my God, these guys know everything. And they'll eventually network it out to say, look, guys, don't even try all our old games. They don't work here. And as a result, your support costs will be dramatically lower than if you're using other MLM software that doesn't have a lot of this thought put into it. And this all comes probably because I am $1 million earner in the industry. So I've been a distributor in the industry, earned $1 million. So I've played every game that I built my system to stop. You'll then see, if you scroll in a little bit more, we get to this area that we call the system log. This is where anything the system is doing automatically, or anything that the member has changed, or anything that admin has changed will be logged, so that when the member calls in and says, how come my address is wrong now? You can say, well, because you changed it on November 16th at 2:16 and 58 seconds, okay? Or you can go, whoa, we got a distributor support person doing the wrong thing. And you can go directly to the distributor support person and say, hey, Mary, how come you changed it this way? The guy's a little bit ticked off. What was going on? So you have the ability to figure out what's going on, both through the system log, which tells you everything that the system's automatically doing on your behalf, as well as the actual distributor log, which is any interaction that comes in through the FAQ support ticket system or through the telephone. Let's scroll back up to the top, and I don't know if we'll click on every link or we could be here all day, but one of the most important functions of our system, let's click on the account tab, the second one down. So if you log into this account, this is one of the things that we were one of the first to do. Our personal account balance, so this system's actually set up with a bunch of currencies as well as a bunch of things that are often used in MLM. So for example, we've got recharge credits. Recharge credits are very often used when you're in a voice over IP or an internet gaming or something like this type of a deal where they buy a package, they get a bunch of credits. The credits allow them to then either use their phone or go play the games or whatever. We've got incentive dollars. The system has the ability for you to have an incentive program built right in. So every time they buy, you give them some incentive dollars. And then you've got a shopping mall set up where you can have them purchase whatever they want with their incentive dollars. So it can either be your normal products, it can be special promotional products. So kind of like, again, using the Melaleuca concept, they have something called Advantage Rewards, where every time you place an order, you get a certain amount of bonus points if you do it before the end of the month. Well, way before the end of the month, because it's a way to bribe you not to order on the last day, because unfortunately they have one of those comp plans where they allow this backup order stuff, which sounds like a really good concept until you're the owner of the company and you realize that everybody who is ordering waits till the very last day of the month to order, right? And if they don't, then they get a backup order. And as a result of this, you don't have the ability to do daily auto ships. You don't have the ability to sort of manage your sales volume throughout the month. You just end up needing, 2,000 temporary staff for the last 3 days of the month to handle the extra volume. So with a proper daily auto ship system versus a backup order scenario, you can actually avoid that problem. And the personal account links into all that in that they can actually be paying for their auto ship from their personal account. And the incentive dollars links into that you can use the incentive dollars by saying, look, if you do happen to have a backup order scenario like Melaleuca, you can bribe your people by saying, we're going to give you 10% incentive rewards if you order before the 20th of the month, only 5% if you order between the 20th and the 25th, or you could just have incentive dollars. We give a 3% bonus, which you can use to buy other products. The thinking behind incentive products or incentive rewards are in MLM, if you can get a guy to stay on auto ship and actually use and consume your products for 4 months, usually it's now become a habit and they'll stay with you for a very long time. So if you're going to get creative about an incentive rewards program, Melaleuca is a good model because they give you just enough incentive rewards that you won't be able to redeem them until you've been with the company for about 4 months. And by then, it's a habit. So incentive dollars is a part of something that you can do. And if you're in multiple currencies, you'll see that you've got US dollars, Japanese yen, incentive dollars, recharge credits. And the way this all works is as your members earn commissions, the commissions are deposited to their personal account. They then decide how they would like to be paid. They can say, pay me everything, leave enough behind for my next auto ship, pay me automatically, only pay me when I ask for it. So the member's in control of how they'd like to get paid. You as a company can say, no, we want to pay them every month. Again, we don't recommend it because you're just wasting your money, but the member can actually have full control over their money, so nobody's hiding anything from anyone. And if you set up your withdrawal settings correctly, so you say that a check is $5 and a minimum withdrawal is 50, you can have a lot of your members using their money to sign up other members versus withdrawing it, which means you have less reliance upon a credit card merchant account, less chargeback capability, and of course you make way more money because you don't lose your 3 to 5% to Visa. So, and you can charge them for the use of the personal account gift certificates and intermember transfers. So you can actually put a service charge on that, and that's all yours. So you understand, we don't get involved in your money. We give you a system that does it all, but your money's never touching our bank account. It's all happening on your end. And what tends to happen, actually, funny story, we have a client right now who's in a bit of a conniption because 30% of his paychecks are not getting cashed. And he's like, well, why? I got to do something else. I got a direct deposit. My members aren't depositing their check. Okay. So he, like everyone, wow, we're going to do a debit card. Well, isn't that interesting? Because when you do a debit card, guess what? When that client's 30%, now this guy's doing over $100,000 a month in payroll. 30% aren't getting cashed, guys, of the checks that are written. And what's interesting is only 30% of what people earn is ever requested. Okay, so 30% is requested and only 30% of that's never being cashed. The rest of it's still sitting in his bank account. So your float can very quickly become millions of dollars, and then you shuffle that off to a money market account and you make nothing but money on interest, and you're not making your members unhappy. Nobody's being withheld. Nobody's being not paid. Everybody's excited about this cool system you have, and you're making, again, way more money than you'll ever spend customizing or mucking with the system with me. I've actually earned you through the personal account system. So this is basically the personal account where the member can see everything. This one's sort of set up with the full meal deal where you can actually transfer from one currency to the other, and you guys can set the exchange rates. They don't happen automatically. You set them, you update them daily or monthly or yearly. And again, the reason for that is in MLM, the last thing you want to do is have a real-time exchange rate, because your exchange rate can often have a significant impact on your comms. Also keeping in mind that if you do come with us, I'm going to do my best to talk you out of multi-currency, even though the system handles it. Multi-currency adds one massive layer of complication to your whole deal. So it's not usually a good idea in the beginning to do, because it's very costly to administer. Nothing to do with us or cost with us, but just your ability to track it all and figure it all out and stay on top of it. Very, very costly in the beginning. So it's not usually recommended in the beginning, but the system's fully capable of it, as you can see here. You can translate between your money and all that kind of stuff. And then this is basically just a listing of everything that has happened in this particular guy's personal account. Okay, so the account update button, this is where you can add or take money away from any currency of any member. And what's important to note about this is the transaction type. You'll see that there's debit commission, is what the COM stands for, credit commissions, debit non-commission, credit non-commission. If you're adding money to a guy that's not supposed to be equivalent to commissions, you must make sure that you pick the non-commission amount, because that's what will prevent it from showing up in your W-9 reports. So there's commissionable money, non-commissionable money. So if you're adding or taking away money, you just always have to be considering, is this commission money? Is this order refund money? And just making sure you're flagging it appropriately so that you don't artificially increase or artificially decrease his actual income and get yourself in trouble with the government. So the About Me page. So this is actually taking you into a page where it's basically just mimicking or displaying for you everything that the member has done. Okay, so the About Me page is where he can upload his story, he can upload his picture, he can decide what information is going to show. So there's a lot of privacy issues that go on in today's world, and quite frankly, Melaleuca got hit really hard, and they used to send you the name and address and phone number of every single person in your downline, and they were very proud of it. Well, they just got whacked hard about a year ago, and now they send you a one-pager that tells you almost nothing, because it's actually illegal to give full information about people that weren't personally enrolled by the member. Lots of MLMs still do it, and lots of software that doesn't have large clients still do it. But as soon as you get to the point where you've had clients of $50 million a year or more, Sarbanes-Oxley applies to them. So you learn very quickly that you have to bolt down your system. So we sort of do it a bit creatively in that we ship the system very bolted down, and then you would request for us to open it up, because then we've got on record that you requested it. So we maintain liability free capabilities. Should you say we want to show all this stuff to everybody, we can say that, hey, look, our system allows it. We told them not to, but they did, because it can get you in trouble as soon as you get, I think it's 10 million a year where the first level of Sarbanes-Oxley kicks in. In this section, the member actually has some control, which takes some of the pressure off you, in that the member can say, look, if you see right at the top here, you can see hide About Me link, yes or no. So they can actually say, I don't want the About Me link to show on my replicated site. I just don't want anyone to be able to contact me. Of course, why would they? But this is about choice, right? The member has the ability to turn his About Me link off. You as admin have the ability to allow him to do this or not. So there's a configuration switch that you can flip to make this go away. So if you don't want to let them decide, you don't have to. If you want to let them decide, you can let them. So you'll find about our system that the way you look at this system in this demo may not be the way you ultimately use the system, because there's 250 or more configuration switches you can make decisions on, which will turn stuff off and on and make all kinds of neat stuff. Then you'll see the next section down here says display on genealogy reports. So a member can actually say, no, I don't want my name showing on the genealogy report, even if the company has decided to show it. So he unchecks this box, and his name will not show. It'll just show his 3 dots on the genealogy report. And he can do the same with his phone number. And of course, from an admin point of view, you should never show the name or phone number anyways. But this is sort of the way that even if you choose to, the member has the ability to sort of opt out of being displayed, which gives you more leverage with the government. So it's sort of like letting you break the rules if you really want to without getting yourself in too much trouble, because the member himself can control not to show his private information. And then down here you'll see name, location, phone, fax. These sections are all things that you actually have the ability to put macros into your page. And again, guys, we do not recommend this. We hear it all the time. Oh, the member said ABC MLM company has their name and their phone number and their email address displayed on their replicated website, and we want to do the same thing. We're going to give you the advice that that's really bad for business, because that allows a company like I used to be when I was a member the ability to write a quick little robot and come and scrape your database. Thank you very much. We appreciate your generosity. Where if you leave it trapped in the About Me page, that means that it's not on the home page. So when I go to yourwonderfulwebsite.com/Fred, I don't see the guy's name and phone number and email. I have to click the About Me link to possibly see it, possibly not see it, and quite frankly, you are no longer the low-hanging fruit on the tree. I'm going to go to another company that has it displayed for every single member on the homepage, because then I write my robot and I get a much quicker return on investment. So our system tries to bolt it down for you, but we're not here to dictate how you should run your business. So we give you the macros that if you want to embed all that stuff into the homepage, you can. And once again, we go so far as that if you do that, again, it can create some privacy issues for you. So we let the member override if you've set the configuration switch to let them override to say, look, don't display this even if the company is foolish enough to put it on the homepage for me. So Twitter URL, Facebook URL, LinkedIn URL, they've got places for these so that they can show on their About Me page. If they're not populated, they don't show. If they're populated, they do show. And then they can write their story and include pictures and whatever they want in this little editor. Okay, so let's click back now, because we've actually changed the navigation by going to that page. So click Order Entry. Keeping in mind that we're in admin, and as you train your staff, a lot of your staff are going to know your item codes by heart. This system allows them to simply type the item code of what they want to buy and the quantity and hit add item. In other words, it can work with the whole 10 key thing on the right without ever touching your mouse. However, in the beginning, nobody knows that stuff. So if you click the product list, it'll actually pop you up a list of all of the items that you have in your shopping cart. And you'll also see that it's currency separated. So your admin people, because remember, this is the admin interface. The members interface is a shopping cart style thing. But shopping cart style things are incredibly inefficient for admin. So here you could actually go in and you could say, okay, I want 3 bottles of 102. I want 5 basic products. And you can actually put the entire order together on one page, hit submit, and it's just done. And then you basically click finish order. And in the case of this, because it's an admin order, the system's already aware of his default payment type. It's already got his credit card stored. So it just comes in here and it says, okay, how does he want to pay? From personal account or credit card? In this case, there's no card number on file. So if you follow through, you'll see on the order payment and shipping selection, if there is a credit card on file, it would say, do you want to pay from his personal account? And it's telling you the balance. If he doesn't have enough money in his personal account, it won't even show that as a payment type. From here, if they don't have a credit card on file, you could add one, but anyone using the system sort of from the get-go, unless they joined with a gift certificate, when they signed up with their credit card, it's going to store their credit card and the credit card will be on file. So you wouldn't have to enter anything. You just say, yep, good to go. So it's a very efficient ordering system from the admin order point of view. And of course, whatever shipping options you've set up, they can select which one. You'll also notice there's your address box where, again, you can have extra addresses put in. So if you are doing a paper order and it's a different address than they have on file, you'd add that address, you'd swap it, all in line to the process. And then you'd click process order and it would complete the order. In this case, there's plenty of money in the personal account, so if you wanted to complete the order, you could. So very simple. No, it's not graphically pretty, because graphically pretty costs you money in the admin side. It's meant to be very efficient. Member side, different story. Shows all the pretty pictures, shows the categories, separates everything out. Now, one of the keys to our shopping cart is our shopping cart is very advanced, and we'll get to that in a bit, but it allows you on every single product to decide where it's going to show and which price level, wholesale or retail, it's going to be sold at. So every product can be shown in the admin order section, the member order section, the member sign up section, the customer sign up section, the customer order section. You have full control of a product. So you don't have to go enter in a whole bunch of products to have them show up in different places. You put one product and you say where you want it to show, and it'll just work itself out. So a very powerful shopping cart function. Okay, so let's go into payment types on the left-hand menu. Payment types is just where any payment types that you've enabled in the system will be available to the member to populate, add, edit, or change data on. So if you've enabled check as a payment type, here's where they would go and put in their check details. If you've enabled credit card, here's where they go and edit or change their credit card details. Okay, so this is sort of mission control for money. Incoming and outgoing money, all the different payment types are set up, controlled, and edited here. The member has this exact same interface. Transfer history. This is where you can actually see a list of all of the intermember transfers that have gone on with this member. So it shows who sent him the money and how much was sent to him and when. Auto ship. So here's where auto ship is actually controlled by admin, and keeping in mind that the member doesn't see all of this. This is the admin version of auto ship, and there's a bunch of real funky things that go on here. Of course, you can control what their payment type is, which are usually limited with auto ship because pretty much if they don't have a credit card on file, it's very hard to do auto ship. ACH can work, but then you have to put a bunch of rules in place for, you know, how long before the end of the month they can change their auto ship and all that. So anyways, the payment types are here. The currency that they select is here. What's on auto ship is here. You can click the product list the same way to add more items to it. Then you'll see a bunch of stuff here: restart auto ship fee, shipping fee, insurance fee, and e-collect fee. These are some things that were actually instituted for Japan, but we're actually finding a bunch of North American clients are starting to like the concept as well. In Japan, if you cancel your auto ship, they charge you $30 to reinstate it. Well, that's pretty interesting because, of course, what do people in North America do? Well, I'm going to cancel my auto ship because that'll save me some money because I'm not going to earn some money anyways this week or this month. So in Japan, they penalize you for it. They say, oh, no problem, except the minute you do that, we're going to charge you $30. So if you cancel your auto ship, they would actually come in here, put $30 in the restart auto ship fee button, and put it to once, which means it would just one time whack the guy $30 on his next auto ship. Shipping fee. Very often what happens in North America is when you have UPS going to some very, very strange and out of the way place, there's this additional charge added. Most MLMs don't go after that because it's not a good idea. It's better to keep the playing field even and eat it on the guy that's doing bad and charge a little more on the normal guys. But if you wanted to, you could actually come in and put in a permanent shipping fee of X number of dollars for this particular member. Then every auto ship would go out with this fixed shipping fee instead of using your shipping formula. Insurance fee, we've got clients that sell silver and gold and other things that need to be insured, so they can put the standard insurance fee onto a guy's auto ship. And it can all be done once or permanent. Okay. And e-collect is actually a COD fee translated from Japanese. So again, these aren't very often used in North America, but we are finding, like I say, because they're there, clients find unique ways to use them because you don't have to use them for what they say. You can use them anytime you want to just whack a guy some extra money for whatever reason you have to on his auto ship. Now you'll also see here your auto ship processing day is 9. The system will automatically set auto ship to be a month later than the day they joined. So it does handle daily auto ships, which are far better for you than handling an end of the month auto ship, because when you're small, it seems logical to do an end of the month auto ship. When you've got 150,000 people's package to ship on the last day of the month, you realize you really wish you had a daily auto ship. So it's best if you can from the beginning to start with a daily auto ship. I guarantee you if Melaleuca would have even considered it possible back when they started 25 years ago, they'd have a daily auto ship, not a monthly one. You'll also see volume allocation because this particular system's set up to a 3-center binary. It gives you the ability on the auto ship to allocate the volume to centers 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll see down here a little section where you see skip auto ship, cancel auto ship, date next auto ship date, process auto ship now, and update. This is because, here's the typical auto ship scenario. Member calls up, cancels his auto ship because he didn't think he was going to make money anyways. 2 days later, finds a guy that wants to join. Okay, so cancel auto ship's easy. You click a button, it makes it go away. Or they claim financial hardship and, their dog's in the hospital, or was it their mother? No, actually, I think it was their brother. Oh, no, actually, maybe it was them. But anyway, somebody's in the hospital. So therefore, it's just not possible for them to pay their auto ship this month. So can you just give me a break for 1 month? So you can click the skip next auto ship. Of course, they won't be paid, but the skip next auto ship will take care of one of the most common actions, which is a guy saying, I don't really want to cancel it. Can you just not do it this month? So you skip that. Cancel makes it go away. Update next auto ship day allows you to actually change the date of their next auto ship to a specific date. And then, of course, after they've canceled their auto ship, they find a guy and they come back to you saying, oh my God, I found a guy, and if I don't get an auto ship, I'm not going to get paid. So can you please put my auto ship back to right now? So you click the process auto ship now button and it processes it right now. So the bulk of the things that you're going to be dealing with happen with the touch of a button in auto ship. And then you can play with your shipping address and all that stuff here as well. And then interestingly enough, you see at the very bottom, we have that same distributor history thing. Every note you put here will show in the other distributor history thing, but every note you put there will not show here. In other words, this is where you capture just the stuff about the problems regarding AutoShip. Because again, it turns out that AutoShip is one of the more technically challenging things you deal with as the owner of an MLM company. So we found by segregating out the AutoShip notes into one place, it makes it a lot easier for you to troubleshoot problems or, again, find networkers that are trying to get their own way. Right. That's the AutoShip section. Emails, we can click that link on emails on the left menu. And this is just where you can actually set up a bunch of what we call quick send emails. So there's a million cases where you have very standard emails that you need to send a guy for very standard things. So you can actually, in this section, go set up all your standard emails. We tried to call you and your phone number was not correct. Please get it to us immediately or we're going to terminate you, or whatever it may be. So you go make up a bunch of standard emails that are specific to your company. And the idea here is you can embed all of the macros into these emails. So if you want to, for some reason, make a special email that doesn't use our system for reminding of the password, you can make any custom email you want embedded with any of our system available macros, save it in your system, and then if you need to send it to a member, you come in here and within one touch, you'll see from the emails available, there's only 2 right now, you basically select the email you want to send, hit go, and it's going to send it completely embedded with all the distributor's information. Okay, so it's kind of an email template engine. This is not the same thing as all of the system emails that are sent automatically. There's a different place where you edit them. This is specifically, we've got a custom email that we want to send out that for whatever reason, we want to say Dear Jim on it. Well, then you could use this to do that on a person by person basis. If you want to do a blast, we've got a whole email blaster that's a different section. Okay, so this is template style emails to deal with company specific issues and very template style stuff where you can embed macros. Invoice section, this just shows you a list of all the invoices they've had. It's the ability to refund them. You can go back and reprint them. So if you dig down deep enough, you'll see that you can actually get a version that's very easily printable. You can set them back in status. So let's click on order number 17440. And you'll see at the top that we can change the status from paid to invoice to shipped to pending return to deleted. We can delete the order. We can change the payment type. We can see the waybill number if it's actually been shipped and you're connected to something that communicates a waybill back to you. So all of that sort of control happens in the invoice section. Earnings, always a favorite place. And remember, by going through this, guys, it may seem like we're spending a lot of time here, but most of this stuff is the same thing that the member sees. So it means that we can skip 80% of the members demo. We can go in, show you, say, here it's pretty, and you've seen how most of this stuff works. So if we go look at the actual earnings report, now this may or may not work because it is a demo system, but this being a multiple center binary, you'll see right at the very top, it gives you a snapshot of where your volume's at right now for the current period for both your profit center 1, 2, and 3. If you scroll down, we can now start to see commission period-based totals with the ability to also get details. And if we scroll right to the bottom, I can explain how the general earnings report works regardless of your comp plan there, as long as it doesn't break. So let's click on the detail link beside period 14 at the bottom. So what's happening is it's saying I made $2,690, right? And if I click on that, it now shows me that I made $300 in fast start, $450 in binary, $365 in matching, and $1,575 in coded. If I click on the fast start, so click on the 300 in the fast start, it actually goes down and it says I made $100 from the order number 19361 placed by SIM 54262, and so on and so forth. If we click the binary $450, you'll see it breaks that down right to the detail level as well on what the points were. If we click on the matching bonus, the 365, you'll see that it says, okay, this particular comp plan had 5 level deep matching bonuses. So it's telling you on level 1, you made $280. Click the $280 and it'll actually show you that on your level 1, you earned a 20% matching on the $100 earned by SIM 10546. So you can drill down right to the bottom to see where every penny of that guy's commission plan was generated. Okay, and yes, your members see this as well. Does that stop them from asking questions? No. Does that stop them from lying to you and telling you, well, I'm sure it said something different yesterday? Yeah, I'm sure you do think that it said something different yesterday. It does eliminate, once your members get used to this, because some MLM softwares give lots of information, some don't. We try to strike a middle balance because what we've learned is the more information you give, You'd think that that solves questions, but actually a lot of the times the more information you give, the more questions it generates. So we try to make the commissions report, go down to the detail level, but there's other places where we try not to get too detailed because it just creates more problems for you. But anyways, yeah, so this is how our typical earnings report. So if you're a matrix, instead of seeing fast start, binary matching, encoded, you'd see whatever your commission types are broken down for you to see the detail of how they're made up. Okay, click the summary link. The summary is just a page that shows the guy all of the people he personally enrolled and all of the personally enrolled customers, as well as who his support team is. So you'll see at the top you've got personally distributors. You'll see in the middle you've got personally sponsored customers, and then you'll see upline distributors. You control how many levels upline they see by both sponsor tree or placement tree. So there's a setting where you can say, like Melaleuca shows, because it's a 5x7 matrix, they show you 7 levels up from you so that you know who to call for help. You have that ability to control how many levels up by either sponsor tree or placement tree you want to reveal details on here. And you'll also notice that we give up the email here because in this case, this is the upline support tree. Not so dangerous to give that information up. All right, so volume adjust, we won't click on that one. That's just where you would adjust volume on particular orders in a binary case. Downline count, again, it's just a funky little report. If you click on the downline count, it just shows you how many people you have and how many business centers you have on each level of your business. And in this case, it's a binary, so it goes many levels deep. And it's just a little count report. And again, with a lot of these reports, you decide whether they fit your comp plan or not, and you decide whether you want to display that information or not to the members. So every link you see, both in admin and members, you guys are in control of turning on or off. And in admin, you're also in control of what level of admin access the person has to have to be able to see the particular link. So you've got huge control over what your distributor support people would see versus your senior admin people versus your translators versus whatever. Downline count, viewers. So let's go look at the viewers because I know you guys were curious about the viewers. We've got a whole bunch of different ones. The coolest one is the one called Placement Viewer New, but let's just have a quick look at Viewer Sponsor to start. So if you look at Viewer Sponsor, this is a file generated thing. So again, we give you a whole bunch of different viewers. You determine which ones you want to use and which ones you want to do. The advantage of this viewer is it's hyper fast. So for a guy to go digging down a downline with the little plus buttons, you can dig through a downline real fast with this one. Okay, so this one's most often used in unilevels where you get ridiculous width, where a graphical interface is not so convenient. This is one style of viewer we have. Then you'll see the viewer matrix, which is the same style of a viewer, but the first one we showed you is actually showing the personally sponsored to personally sponsored tree. This one's now showing it to you arranged by placement. So in other words, this one's showing you leg 1, 2, 3, 4, where the other one was showing you everyone you personally enrolled on your front line, everyone they personally enrolled on their second line. So one's personally sponsored tree, one's placement tree. Now if we go look at the viewer binary, this is a tournament style binary viewer. And this one has some functionalities in it. You'll see the little I button where if it's a personally enrolled guy, you click that, you see his personal information. The little @ button is where you click to actually send this particular member an inter-member email. And the P button is where you click to set the placement of the next personally sponsored you do to be under this guy. Okay, so tournament style, a bit of information. A little bit older style viewer, again, seems to be one of our most favorite for binaries, which always blows me away because it's not really pretty, but it's very functional. So then we can look at the placement viewer, okay, and you'll see that what you're looking at there, you can actually grab anywhere on the screen and drag it around. As you do go downline, it sort of animates its way down depending on the speed of your computer and what's going on. You'll see the selected member details. Now, all of the selected member details on the left, you're in control of. So all of our viewers actually have the ability for you to set up what you want to show. So you can show what information shows in the little round boxes. And then you can also show what shows up on the left hand, and you can differentiate what shows up based upon whether that person was personally enrolled by this person or not. So you can restrict the information on non-personals and give full information on personals or any combination thereof in a configuration section that I'll show you in a bit. A funky little thing that members love about this, which is really crazy, but if you look over on the tree orientation, just click the left button and watch what happens. Click the top button. Click the bottom button. Have some fun. You'll also notice that if you have a scrollable mouse, scrolling that mouse will actually zoom in and out of the overall look. This is actually all Java. And the reason it's Java is we're a multilingual program. So there's two reasons why to avoid Flash at all costs. iPads and iPods cannot see it. So anything you have in Flash, instantly the Mac heads moan and complain. Number two is it's insecure, it's heavy, it's obnoxious, and it's incredibly expensive to program in. It also doesn't play very nice with replicated web environments. So there's no reason in today's world, and in fact, it's such a bad idea that even Flash has decided to discontinue Flash and start developing HTML5 like the rest of the world. So no reason to use Flash. You should avoid it at all costs. This is Java because also, of course, a main consideration for us is multilingual capable. Flash becomes a real pain in the butt when it comes to trying to deal with multilingual. Okay, so yeah, anyone who tries to convince you to have a Flash-based website, if you can find a gun and shoot them in the head so they don't make the mistake for someone else, that would be a good thing because it'll just get you into nothing but trouble. Down at the bottom here, you'll see a username blank and a profit center. This is a place where you can jump to a particular guy. So of course, downline viewers are always neat until you're in a binary and you've got 293,000 people underneath you. And then you know that you just want to go and see what's going on with Fred, who you enrolled yesterday. So you'd go down to username and you'd type in Fred and you'd put in what profit center you want to go look at. You'd click jump to username and it would rejig the tree to show from him down. You'll also see on the left-hand selected member details page, jump to me and 1 and 2. When you've actually gone and navigated down the tree, sometimes you just want to get back to you. So you click the jump to me and it'll take you right back to the top of the tree. If you click on the 1 or the 2, in this case that means left or right, it's going to take you to the bottom of leg 1 or the bottom of leg 2 with the touch of a button. So let's say I wanted to get to the bottom of, if you guys are all looking at the screen, you can see SIM 100583. That means third center of SIM 10058. If I wanted to get to the bottom of his right leg, what I would do is I would click him first, and then I would click the 1 or the 2. Now in this case, this system is set up smart in that it doesn't allow you to sponsor on the inside legs. And in a binary, the dumbest thing you can do is allow your members to sponsor on inside legs, because then they can zigzag you and drive your payment through the roof. If you did allow sponsoring on inside legs, then that 1 and 2 would show up here, and you'd be able to, now that you've redirected your tree to this guy, you could now go to the bottom of his legs. But because this particular system is set up to not allow inside sponsoring, we don't allow you to go there because there's no reason you ever should. It's cool, it's fun, very functional. Members love it. You know, they spend all day changing it from left to top to bottom, going woohoo. Great, because the reality is any member who's really actively working his business is seldom, if ever, looking at his downline viewer anyways, because he's too busy making money and building his team. However, your newbies love to play with fluff. So there's your fluff. Okay, so now you'll notice that these have been opening new windows, so you can close those new windows to get back to where we were. And when you get back to where we were, we can look at genealogy. Now, genealogy is a non-real-time report because it's actually impossible without crushing your server when you're a big company to do a real-time genealogy report. And the reason for that is a genealogy report, this is old school, okay? Meaning that if you know how to use this report, you could actually draw your downline on paper just by having this report. As a result, if you're in the middle of the tree somewhere, for the system to be able to display this genealogy report, it needs to actually generate the entire downline before it can display your little piece. So that means whether you're trying to look at 4 members or 4,000 members, the system would have to generate the genealogy for the whole 200,000 members. So as a result of that, it's not feasible to have a genealogy report in real time. The graphical viewers are all real time, because they're just ever asking for the next 5 people, the next 5 people. But in this case, you can't have your genealogy. So this report updates every night with housekeeping. So that's the only key to always make sure your members understand is this will not report until, this report will not update until evening, just by general reasons of why and how it works. Now you'll see in this report, you're going to see a whole bunch of information that the members don't see, specifically the CV for the 5 previous periods. You could choose to display that, but again, with the genealogy report, the more you give, the more your members tend to quit. So your members are going to push you saying, well, I need to see who's active and who's not active and how much all the people in my downline, because I got to get my volumes up. And here's what we've found. If you give your members the ability to pester the crap out of people they didn't personally enroll because they're trying to get their paycheck, that guy who might have reordered by the end of the month is now going to run scared, quit, and get all of his members to quit too. So you always have to have a real careful balance between how much information you give your members, because you think by allowing the pestering to go on, it's going to increase your business. We've seen over 437 clients or something so far that every time you give more information that allows more pestering, your auto ship renewal rates plummet. Because as that guy's selfishly trying to get someone to buy something, when the guy they're trying to get to buy something may legitimately have just been laid off and has a reason not to, and he doesn't need to be reminded about the fact that he hasn't purchased by 19 people he doesn't know. Be very careful in how much information you display, because you think it's going to help. In almost all cases, it hurts, because it's all the guys doing nothing that are just trying to shake the tree to get their volumes up to earn their next level. Go sponsor some people. Okay, so the system sort of comes with a nice halfway point, and then from there you can sort of say, no, we disagree with your thought and we'd like to add more information. In the admin section, of course, we can show you whatever you want because it's admin. You're not going to go pester people. In the members, we restrict a bunch of these columns. Genealogy personally sponsored, we don't need to click on that. It's the exact same report but showing the personally sponsored organized tree instead of the placement organized tree. Viewer binary we've already looked at. Scroll down to flag update on the left menu. Flag update is where you break all your rules, because of course you have to have rules in your commission plan, and then of course you trip across some guy that swings a special deal with corporate, and now you have to consider him to be, silver executive when he's actually a nobody, because he's going to bring his team, and of course he has to look like he's important. So this is rule breaking central. So you can set a flag to say, consider this guy to be silver for the next 14 periods, because you made a deal that you're going to let him be silver for 14 periods. And after that, if he hasn't naturally a trade silver or better, the flag's going to go away and he's going to go back to his natural qualification. You may say for some strange reason that you want to allow this guy to earn commissions even without paying for his auto ship. So you go set a flag that says this guy doesn't need to pay auto ship, just pay him his money. So this is rule breaking central, and it's all fit to your comp plan. So you can flag people to different ranks. You can flag people to not need auto ship. You can flag people to not need centers qualified. You can flag people not to need an annual renewal. So basically all the rules that are in the system that should apply, you can make special exceptions for people when you need to here. Again, always recommend use them sparingly, because if you start enrolling people with special deals, guess what happens? Duplication kicks in, and they can't for the life of them enroll anybody without coming to you to get the same special deal for the people they're enrolling. So be careful with special deals. They usually hurt you more than they help you. Messages, this is just where you can see all of the messages that have gone back and forth. So anything that's gone on is shown here in the message listing. So this is just another little subset of information that pulls out messages only, so it's not polluted with other things like notes that Distributor Maintenance are adding. Okay, so this is just the stuff that's gone through the messaging interface directly to the members lounge. And that's pretty much it for the Distributor Maintenance section. So you can see how this is mission control. I mean, this is where your customer support people, you have any question about a member, you want to see what's going on with a member, this is where you come. So at the bottom, let's click admin. The manual link on the top left, let's click that. It's not super critical, but it's a nice thing to know. This is where we sort of give you all the ways to get a hold of us, all of the things that you can do, where you find all the particular bits, what you do in the case of emergencies. So this is here so that at any time, you don't have to go looking for information on how to get a hold of us if you don't know how yet. You don't have to go find the initial email we sent you. So this is where anything really, really critical that you're going to constantly need access to, we put this in here. So this is a page you don't control, we do, and it's for your benefit. Every time you hire a new person, you don't have to go to explain it. You say, look, go click the manual link, add the guys to MSN like it says, and let's get busy. Sign up. This is the admin version of a sign up. So if you're taking paper applications, this is where admin would actually sign a guy up. FAQ admin, this is very necessary to have a look at. So click on FAQ admin and then click on new. Okay, so here's where all of the questions submitted from the support link end up. They're language separated. So if you're running a multilingual system and your support person has his language set to English, he'll only see the English questions. He can then use the drop down to find others if he happens to be multilingual. So all of the messages that come in will be here. So let's click on ticket ID 10240. So this is the other place where your support reps spend most of their time. It shows ticket number, when it was last updated, when it was first raised, because there is the ability for a ticket to bounce around between numerous people and just take a while before it finally gets out. So what happens is, if you scroll down, you'll see that the customer said hello. Okay, that was his question, hello. The response form is broken into some sections, and you'll see there's the personal greeting, and it says not added to FAQ. So this is where you could say, hey, Jane, how you doing? How's the new baby? Blah, 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 and be personably nice and wonderful as the wonderful support person that you are. Then there's the question, hello. Often members' questions are grammatically incorrect and a real mess. So this interface is all about answering the questions that need answering, but if they're a question that's going to fit as an FAQ item, as you answer it, you're going to click a button and it's going to turn into an FAQ. So if it's a badly formed question that everybody's going to need the question and answer to, in this added to FAQ section, you're going to fix the question to be grammatically correct. You're then going to put the response that's the direct answer to the question. And then you're going to use the personal sign off down at the bottom to do the last little bit. And then at the very bottom, if you scroll down, you get faced with a bunch of options. Do not add to FAQ. So if you're not adding it to FAQ, that just means that it's a question that's only applicable to this guy. Or maybe it's something that's applicable to a prospect, in which case you'd add it to the non-members FAQ. Maybe it's something that's only applicable to a member, so you'd add it to the members FAQ. Maybe it's something that's only applicable to admin, so it's something that you're going to ultimately use as a training resource in admin. You'd click the admin FAQ. On the right-hand side, you'll see add to members lounge messaging interface, stamp reply note, and send email. So now you have control to say, okay, I do want this to be in the guy's members lounge messaging interface. I do want to stamp a reply note into distributor notes. So that's the section where we were. And I also want to send an email to the guy. So all that stuff's by default on because that's normally what you want to do. But you could, for some reason, say, no, you know what? I don't want to email this guy. Or I don't want this showing up in the distributor notes, or whatever it may be. So you have control of all that. So with one click, you ultimately now have responded to his question, sent it to an approval holding cell so that a senior admin can approve that it's okay to go to the FAQ. So in real time, it goes to the member, so no one's waiting for answers. But then the ability for it to go to the FAQ takes an approval step so that if the junior support person's made a mistake in the answer, only one guy's read that mistake. Then senior support goes and says, yep, that question and answer are correct. I verify it, checks a box, and boom, it's now live to the FAQ. So the longer you're in business, the bigger your FAQ gets, and the less support queries you take because the common questions and answers are all available 24/7 real time. Now, want to make your life easy? Then every time someone asks a question that's in the FAQ, your answer should be, thank you for requesting the answer to this question. This question's already in our FAQ. Please check there. They'll only ask a question in the FAQ without checking once if you do that. If you answer the question that's already in the FAQ, you're the path of least resistance, and they'll ask you everything. They'll never, ever go look at the FAQ themselves. Difference is one client, $10 million a year, 3 people. The president, support person, and the president's dad ran the entire company, including all support. Another client, $275,000 a month, so not even $3 million, well, just over $3 million a year. 14 support staff. You pick. So that's sort of one of the coolest features of our system is this whole FAQ support help desk. Now, there's some other things. So if we go back up that menu, you'll see new, open approval, unapprove, add new. Add new is just where you go put in all the original things that you know you need, right? So all the first questions and answers you know need to be there rather than submitting them and answering them and approving them. You just go and jam them in. FAQ shows you all of the FAQs that are already there and what your FAQ currently looks like. Category maintenance, you get to choose what categories are there. So when they submit their FAQ, they're asked to pick a category. You're in control of those categories. But one of the most interesting parts of this is this view logs. And this is kind of a hidden little thing because you don't necessarily want everyone to know this, and we recommend it set to a high admin access. But click on view logs. This is Admin Spy Central to make sure your support people are working. You can search for any of the different types of logging that goes on in the system by a particular user. Okay, so you can say, I want to see all system logs from January of 2011 to November of 2011 that were generated by things that Clayton did. So in other words, if I need to see if Clayton's working, I'm going to go and I'm going to take a look at yesterday, today, this month, whatever it may be, and I'm going to take a look at the member FAQ logs, which is going to show me every question and answer Clayton's done in that time period. The system log, because even if he's not busy jamming in FAQs, it may be because he got into a real tough case, and you're going to see 14 system log entries as he tried to untwist the problem. All the FAQ logs, so not just the members, but all of them. Error logs, so you can actually go in, and this is where you pull errors that have been reported by the members to you, because we're not allowed in today's world to display an actual SQL error to your members. So they'll give you a little code, you'll look it up, submit it to us to fix. And then change log. Change log is where you find out that your most valued support person just went and screwed you by changing the price of your product to zero, and a whole bunch of them got out before anyone noticed. So instead of you coming to us and saying, man, INS, your system just screwed up, you'll first go look at the change log to find out who made it screw up, because it's 99% of the time not the system that screwed up. It's a human. So the change log tracks all kinds of stuff. In the system preferences area, anything that gets changed in configuration all gets stamped here. So you have very, very tight control without everyone in your company needing to know about it as to who's doing what. So it just really helps. The bigger you get, the more important this is. So Spy Central, mostly to track what's going on with your support people, because they're usually who screw things up. And it's not on purpose. We don't recommend that. This isn't called an attack log, because you're not supposed to attack the people you find out who did wrong. You just need to go and retrain, because you, as the owners of the company, if your support person did something wrong, it's your fault. You didn't train them right. If we go into reporting now, reporting is where you'll see just a ton of different reports. Yeah, we've got sales graphs, and aren't they cute? And we've got sales summaries, and we've got sales item details. So probably one of the more interesting reports that people like, because everyone likes to go and analyze and slice and dice data. Click the sales report, the one at the very top. So this is a very powerful slice and dice report generator, if you will. So you can come in here and say, I want to look at a date range of last month, and I want to look at all of the cities, or I just want New York. So this city listing will populate as you enroll people in cities. So no city that nobody's in will exist on this list, because it's silly to let you search for people in cities that nobody's in, right? Same thing goes with the state. Same thing goes with the zip. So all of these things allow you to say, look, show me all the cities, right? Show me all the states, and every one of these things that you set will then break the data out into a subcategory of that city. So you can search by item codes, you can search by age of members, not so common in North America because you don't usually ask for it, but very common in Asia, and also in any gambling related company you have to ask for the age to prove that they're over 18. Product category. So there's all these metrics that you can pull a report from, including rank, and then it's going to actually grab all this data. So go to every column thing and set everything to all, and set it to last month. So you're going to see sales by city. It breaks down New York, and it's showing you how many units sold, average amount per unit, total number of orders, average per order, total number of people sold, average amount per person, total number of auto ship amount, and average amount per auto ship. So these are the metrics it gives you slice and diced from every single way. So everything you could want to track or check or look at or analyze, you can usually pull from this report. We've got tons of other reports that do more specific things, but this report's sort of the big slicer and dicer. It's giving you a subtotal of each section. So it's just showing you the data in as many ways as you want to see it. Okay, so let's go back to reporting. Sales summary is, again, I'm not going to go through all these because we'll be here all day, but sales summary, just it's a different way of pulling information. Sales summary is more often used because this is where you'll pull the data you need to do your journal entries every month to take your MLM software sales and jam them into your accounting software. So there's no need to put everything on a detailed level into your accounting software. The system's fully audit trail. You can't delete something without it showing up as deleted versus just plain and simple gone. So you can rely upon the software for all of the real-time and audit trail stuff, and then you can just take monthly entries to your accounting software for sales commissions and such. Sales graphs, because people like to see graphs. I'm not a fluff guy, but we've started to build fluff because we're in competition with lots of MLM software that has fluff that sells you the software, and then you find out that fluff is all it has. It doesn't actually do any of the things you need or run you as an efficient company. We want you to be a $10 million a year company running with 3 people. We don't want you having a whole bunch of fluff and needing 19 people to do stuff that the system should be able to do automatically. So sales graph, we've got, you can pick your selection, you can pick your period selected, currency, whether it's an accumulated graph or not, and then it's going to show you whatever period you picked, the last period and a year ago this period and a year ago last period. So it gives you 4 comparative lines that make an awful lot of sense as you want to go look at stuff. It's not so functional in this system because of where the data is. To find something here, you'd want to go probably set the view selection to rolling, set the period selection to yearly, paid to any, accumulated to yes, and I think US dollars is probably where the bulk of the sales are. And then I think we can probably get something to look at. Yeah, and again, because it's not a real system, it's just got a bunch of demo. You can see one line that goes up, shows you the accumulated, and it's all happened in 3 months. But once you have data, you can imagine this report gets pretty fun to look at. Go back to reporting, item summary, warehouse stock. We won't get into a lot of this. So 1099 is where you generate the report that gives you all the information on who made what. AutoShip will show you all the people that are on AutoShip. AutoShip product shows you the products are on. Commissions will give you some breakdowns of commissions. Invoicing gives you a listing, date range, qualified. Leader listing is something that can show you all the people and who they sponsored and what rank they're at. So again, there's just tons of reports. So the way I usually explain reporting is this. We've got clients that do $50 million a year, clients that have done as much as $100 million a year, and everything they need exists in our system. So does everything you want exist in our system? Nope. Because chances are a bunch of things you want, once you get going, you'll realize you don't need and you'll stop wanting them. Or you'll spend on customization to get it to realize that you never use it. So this is sort of an amalgamation of all of the things that everybody has ever wanted. Our system grows by people asking for customizations, and it just grows and grows and grows. So you should find everything you need, but will you have everything you want? No, nor will you in any software. One that's interesting to look at is the actual COM period report. So let's just have a quick look at that one. COM period, about halfway down, I guess. 3/4 of the way down. So the COM period report is where you would go in to get an overview. So it's where you go to get an overview and actually export a CSV of everybody, how much they earned and what commission type they earned. Okay, and because it's a demo system, it's not hooked up, you can see it's throwing an error. So this is where you can just get all historical commission data revived to see from a commission period standpoint. So obviously you can go to the earnings report and look at it person to person without ever coming here. But if you sort of wanted to say, what happened in period 42 and who got paid and why, this is the place where you could get that report. So you'll also notice we're spawning a bunch of windows on reports, because a lot of reports we make them spawn a window. So you can close them as you wish to get back to where we started. So let's go now into the translation. So I'll just explain the translation. There's not a sense in playing a lot of time. So translation, you've got the ability to turn on and off what languages you want to make available, and then you can assign your translators to go and translate. The one language pack that we do support and we can sell you is Japanese, and that's because our system is always generated in English and Japanese for everything that's done, because we do have large Japanese clientele. So we can sell you that language pack for $5,000, and then you don't have to do any translation. Every other language, you're just going to make a translators club, and your members will translate the system to whatever language you want, and you would give them a translator password that would give them only access to the areas they should have for the purpose of translating. Okay, so whatever language you want can be done. And the interesting thing about being so multilingual, we're multilingual right down to the admin level. So you could actually have a Chinese guy sitting beside a Japanese guy, beside an English guy, beside a Korean guy, all operating admin in their own language. So not just the members area, not just sign up, not just your public area, but you can translate right down to admin for when you do go international. You can actually have local support staff that doesn't speak English operating the system. So that's a fairly unique thing compared to a lot of our competitors. Most of our competitors give you members lounge and whatever control, but they assume that the users of the system are English. I mean, some of my biggest clients are in Japan and they don't speak one word of English. No one in the company speaks one word of English. So you can do that. And then the other interesting thing is, because we have such a deep translation interface, we actually also give you the ability to change the English. Okay, so if you're on the downline viewer and you think that the way the English is there doesn't fit your culture, you're actually in control to change any English you see on any of the system pages. So you can completely make the system your own, with your own lingo, your own culture, the whole bit, because you're in control of the base English that you see on the page, even on system pages. Obviously, custom pages, you're writing them. I'm talking about system pages, downline reports, genealogy reports, the sign-up process. You know, what if you want to add a little note to the sign-up process? Well, you can just hang that note off an existing string of English, and now you've actually got the ability to increase the words on the page without needing to come to us for customization all the time. So let's go down now to the system section. So system is where sort of some of your high-level admins will spend a lot of their time. There's auto ship, which is where you can control and process your auto ships. So this is where you come in. So if you click that link, you'll see that here's your auto ship days, how many auto ships are to be processed, what period they're to be processed for, and then a button to click process. So basically now it says, okay, so here's the list of auto ships on that day, and you have the ability to say, oh, hang on a second, Sim 10942. Why does he have a $6,000 auto ship? That must be a mistake. So rather than hammer his card and have him complain, why don't we just put that on hold? But we don't have to stop the process of processing everyone else's. So in other words, you get to confirm the list, take off anything suspicious, click go, and then this literally goes off and starts pounding on your Visa card gateway. So this is where you hear cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. It's wonderful. And it processes all the orders, and anything that isn't, anything that doesn't have money, it goes to the unpaid list and all kinds of neat stuff. So this is where you control your daily auto ship. So let's say in the beginning you're small and you want to do monthly auto ships. Well, it just means that on the day of the month that you process auto ships, you'd go process every day on the list. You want to do weekly auto ships, you'd process the first 7 days on the appropriate day. So you don't have to break the daily auto ship in order to make your life easier to start. So again, the system's set up in a manner that's always the most flexible. It's up to you how you use it. So rather than saying, no, we want to do a monthly auto ship, change it so it puts everyone onto the same day of the month, much smarter to let them be distributed, process auto ships once a month because that's what your policies and procedures say. And then down the road, when that becomes onerous, you make an announcement that you're going to daily auto ship and everyone will be processed on the day of their anniversary. So it's always better to try to work within the structure rather than coming and saying, we got to customize. So the general rule of thumb we like to tell new clients is this: if you're pretty sure that you need to customize, you should talk to us first because you're probably going down a road that's not a good idea for you. Okay, so we got auto ship bonus, kind of a neat little feature where you can actually say, hey, look, if a guy stays on auto ship for 4 months in a row, let's give him a free bottle. So you can actually set the system up to give bonuses based upon how many times they've auto shipped or a bunch of different metrics. You can actually give them free products and free doodads and free gizmos and whatever. So there's a place where you can set up some auto ship bonus type stuff. Charge invoice. This is where you handle all the money. So let's click on charge invoice and then we'll click on unpaid orders. So here's where again, the system's going to come up, and based upon how many warehouses you've set up, and our system does not do inventory, by the way. We ran down that road, we got it mostly built, and we found out that in today's marketplace, having the MLM software do inventory doesn't seem to help many people. It tends to make bigger problems. So there's the ability for you to put out of stock on something so that it doesn't allow any more orders, but the problem is with almost everybody using third-party logistics companies, the warehouse that your MLM software says is kind of irrelevant. The warehouse the logistics company says you have is all that really matters. And in the MLM world, going out of product is not an option. Because if you're out of stock, you've got a major problem because everyone's auto ship's going to explode, blah, 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 blah. So what we found was if you really want inventory, we're absolutely happy to complete building that, and I make this offer to everyone, and 437 clients later, even the people who thought they wanted inventory within 3 months realized that there's just no need for it. It's better done in your accounting software. You pull that funky little report I showed to show what was sold this month. You make your inventory adjustments once a month and you carry on. So from a warehouse point of view, what warehouses are considered to us to be is it is very likely, even though you're not having us look after your inventory, it is very likely that you'll have a warehouse in Canada eventually, a warehouse in the US, a warehouse in the Philippines, and you'll want those orders to all be handled from different warehouses. So all the money control and everything can be broken up to different warehouses. You can set your administrators up to only see data based upon a particular country or a particular warehouse. So in other words, every administrator you set up, you give him rights to see the warehouses and you give him rights to see data of particular countries. So if you set a guy up to only see the Philippines and you've got one guy in the Philippines and you've got 92,000 people in the US and he logs into admin and does a search for all the distributors, he's going to see one guy. When he pulls a sales report, that sales report's going to give him the sum total of his one guy. The warehouse report's going to give him the sum total of his one guy. So you actually have the ability to decide who can see what at a much higher level through countries and warehouses. So the more warehouses you set up, all it means is the warehouses are going to have orders put into them, which means you're going to come in here to recharge orders based upon the warehouse, which then also gets more complicated with currencies. So as you can see here, we've got the all warehouses and we've got the default warehouse and the US warehouse. So the all warehouse is going to show you everything that's in there. And then any other warehouses you can go into specific, because then you could actually say, hey, we want the Philippines guy to deal with his stuff. So all he would see would be the Philippines warehouse. So this is where you reprocess cards, because cards happen if they fail. Here's where you would come in to reprocess them, or if it's a wire transfer. Of course, wire transfers, you don't get any notification, so it would give you a list. So if we click the process on all warehouses, you'll see payment type wire transfer. You'll see who the order came from. You've got hot links to go look at the order number, hot links to go look at the username, and you can actually then say, yes, we got his money. So in a non-real-time payment type, this is where you would say, yep, got his money. No points will flow into your commission plan, and the order will not be released to shipping until you've set it as paid. Obviously, in a credit card gateway scenario, it's set to paid the minute the credit card gateway says, yep, you got his money. If it fails, then it's going to go on a recharge list. And every time you recharge it, you can set the system to send an email to say, hey, we're going to charge you again tomorrow. Every time his card declines, it'll send an email telling him when you're going to charge it next. And then you just manage the list of when you charge, and it tells you how many times he's been recharged. And when it goes through, the order's released. If it doesn't go through, the order's never released. No points ever flow through the program. Okay, so you're always safe. Must be a financial order to flow any points. Okay, printing. So once you've generated these orders, and it's all batch based, so you could go in and you could set 4 orders to paid, and then you could click the printing link. And when you go to the printing link, it's going to give you the ability to print warehouse by warehouse all the orders in the system for that warehouse that are set to paid, or if you're using COD, obviously they immediately can be printed. And then it's going to actually generate you a PDF batch, which you can break into multiple PDF batches. So if you're doing high volume stuff and you don't want to go and spend, a gazillion dollars on a high volume printer, you tell the system, look, put 500 orders in a PDF batch and give me multiple batches, and you just email them off to 6 different printers in your company and you print them all out if you're handling your own fulfillment. So the system's made so that you can generate all the paperwork you need to handle your own fulfillment. And in today's marketplace, so many people use third-party people that you may not use much of this section other than to say, yep, it's printed, yep, it's shipped. And again, batch process. So you can set them to paid all day long and then do one place only where you go and print them out. So once you've printed them, of course, now you have to ship them. So if you click on the shipping link, you'll see that you can generate a pick list, as well as right now we don't have any orders that are set to shipping, so we can't see them, but you'd also be able to say, yes, this batch of orders is now done. Okay, so you set them to paid, which allows you to print them. You set them to printed, which allows you to ship them. You set them to shipped, which clears them from the system. Waybill entry. So if you are using a company that's going to submit back to you waybills and they're not doing it in a digital fashion, or if you're actually using UPS or FedEx, or you've connected up to someone that gives you the ability to generate it, you can actually use this little function to connect the waybill number to the order number. So if you've got a barcode reader, you can just scan the barcode if you put one on your invoice, and then you scan the waybill number and it'll connect the two up. So then the member will instantly be able to see the waybill number for tracking. Again, most of the time this isn't used, because most of the time you'll see this import CSV file. This is where if you're using a logistics provider, they'll send you the CSV of what was shipped every day. You'll use this import function to update them all automatically, rather than barcoding it. So if you're running your own warehouse, the usage of the system is a little bit different than if you're third-party outsourcing it. But the system can work in both ways. Withdrawals. So withdrawals is where you go and you generate the withdrawals. So let's click on that. So anyone who's added a direct request saying, pay me $50 now, please, that's going to just show up. You also have the ability to generate your automatic withdrawals. So anyone who has said, look, pay me every time I have more than $100 and pay me by wire transfer to Aruba, if you've allowed that, then that'll show up in the wire transfer section, and you'll charge them $75 or whatever your elected service fee is. So when you click the automatic withdrawals or the automatic payment requests, it's going to go and it's going to respect everybody's payment type that they want to be paid by. And of course, they can only pay by ones that you've set up to work. It's going to respect how much they've asked for, whether it's give me everything, whether it's leave enough for my auto ship behind, whether it's don't pay me until I have $1,000, whatever it may be. And then it's going to go and put all of the requests into the appropriate buckets for you to process. Check requests turn into check printing. Contrary to popular belief, you will never make more money than paying your members by paycheck, because there's actually, we say 10%, clients have told us it's closer to 30% breakage on checks ever being deposited. So when you send to a debit card company, when you send $100,000 to the debit card company, interestingly enough, that same 10% will never get withdrawn, but that's now the debit card company's gift instead of your gift. So be careful in doing what the members think is great, because what the members think is great is usually the least profitable thing for the company. So if you're going to do debit cards, the other problem with debit cards is they go out of business all the time. You do not want to have a debit card provider that goes out of business and you told your members the only way to get paid was with that debit card provider, because guess what they're going to do? Well, I had 9 months worth of income on that debit card that I was saving, so you owe me $9,000. What company can pay 9 months of commissions a second time? So if you say, look, we have a debit card, we don't recommend you trust it. We recommend that it's only used to withdraw your funds, meaning transfer today, take that money off the debit card within 24 hours, and then you charge $10 for a debit card request versus $5 for a paycheck, you're going to make nothing but money. And you're going to have no downside when the debit card company ultimately goes bankrupt, because you educated your people appropriately. Of course, the debit card companies all tell you how long they've been in business, how it'll never happen, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe it. Been in this industry too long, seen too many companies bankrupted by debit cards going out of business. So caution, caution, caution. With us, you'll notice I'm giving you a demo, but I'm also giving a bit of sort of MLM consulting as we go. That's part of what we do. You get 10 hours of MLM consulting up front and 2 hours a month for the balance of your first year to make sure you're successful. Because remember, we get paid when you're successful. We take a deposit, the balance we share in the risk with you. So we really prefer you be successful. So once you've generated this, then you'll see all the approved withdrawals, because first you'll go in, you'll approve that this guy can have the money, and then you'll go and generate all the appropriate files and whatever for actually paying them. So if you go to demo.sysapps.com/sim_10033, we'll log into his actual back office as if we're a member. What you're looking at by coming here is a replicated website. So this tells you that nothing's there to look at, and this is just a standard look and feel. Obviously, this would be customized to be your particular look and feel. So let's click the login button, either on the left or the graphic. Okay, so if you had communicated with this member through that member's interface that we had told you about, there'd be a message that he'd have to read before he can do anything in his members lounge. So what happens is you're in the members lounge, you see immediately our quote of the day. Quote of the day, there's 14,000 in the database. You can add, edit, or delete as many as you want. It's going to just randomly pick one every day. Again, a little piece of fluff that members seem to really like. Then you'll see our 4 quadrants. Okay, so we've got status and mail. So status is like a Facebook feature. And depending on the member's settings, when someone new joins his team, it'll notify them when he puts a note on. They can add their friends. Anyone they personally enroll can be set to be automatically made their friend, because that makes the most sense. So it works just like a Facebook news feed. Okay. The reason that's in there is if you have a Facebook newsfeed built into your MLM software, you're less likely to lose control of your membership by having them run off to Facebook to make groups. So now when cross-sponsoring is going on, you're going to see it. The mail tab is now showing you any emails that have come from prospects, any emails that have come from other members, and any emails that have come from admin. And you can reply to them. You can take a look at all of them, because as the list gets bigger, it'll self-restrict itself. So this is sort of communication central, if you will. On the right-hand quadrant, you'll see rank, and it's saying failed to load this tab. This is where, specific to your comp plan, a bunch of metrics are tracked, and it shows green if they've accomplished the metric and red if they haven't, and it shows how many more they need to do. So for example, if you have a personal sponsor requirement, it's going to say you've sponsored 2. To get to the next level, you need 4. So it's going to show you that you need to sponsor 2 more to get to the next level. So a bunch of specific metrics to your comp plan show up here. So again, it's sort of an instant look of what work do I need to do, and the stuff that you're not qualified for shows up in red, so that you can go, oh, red is danger, green is go. Earnings report, like we looked at from admin, this is a summary of it, and then you can get into the actual earnings report from this section as well. Top 5 is actually the top 5 sponsors report. And placement is where you would set your placement settings, meaning where you want the next guy you enroll to be placed. Bottom left quadrant, we've got the account. So this is showing the personal account. We've got transfers, which will show you a listing of all of the transfers that you've done and the ability to make new ones. Gift certificates that again show you all the gift certificates that you've done, as well as the ability to make new ones. And you'll also notice that all this stuff is multi-currency sensitive. So the more currencies you have enabled, the more they have the ability to transfer and do all that stuff. Withdrawals gets them the ability to withdraw one time, or they can click the bottom section to set up an automatic withdrawal. Skip over to the auto ship section. You can see they can set up their auto ship, they can change it, they can edit it, they can do all their wonderful stuff with it, as well as if you click the invoice section, it just shows a listing of all their invoices, and they can click on any invoice to have it show up what was on that invoice. So that's sort of the dashboard view. And then if we get into a bunch of the other functionalities, if you go over to the left-hand menu on tools and settings, You'll see that there's a calendar. A calendar is a very functional thing where members can actually accept calendar entries from their downline to put onto their calendar. Okay, then they can have a link to their calendar from their About Me page, so they can actually use it for coordinating meetings and whatnot. Admin has the ability to also control anything they want onto a member's calendar. And the member can even go to admin and say, hey, I'm doing a meeting on Friday. Can you please put it on the corporate calendar? And all of it happens through an approval process. So they request, you agree, and boom, next thing you know, everyone who looks at their calendar sees it. So that can be admin generated, member generated, and of course, even a member can accept stuff from his members. Okay, so it's sort of a 3-level deal there. Mail is just where you actually do control all of your mails. So you can see all the different sections of mails. You can reply to mails. So this is sort of the internal email function area. Placement preference, again, similar to that tab, but a more detailed view of it. Details, this is where they can change their name and address and phone number and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so again, they don't have to call you to change their information. They just change it themselves. Withdrawals is where they can set up their withdrawal. So again, some of the functionality over here is duplicating what's in the tab section, and it's just because we're in a transition to the tabbed interface. So slowly, you may decide to turn that link off, or you may find that your members like it. So we kind of like to give you the system with more options and let you decide on what to turn off, rather than you thinking, well, gosh, it's kind of inconvenient being there. We'd like it here as well. So we give it to you in a way that you have some control over how it works. And we can also show you how to make things appear that don't appear right now. So there's some big flexibility in that. Website, so this is the About Me page. So we looked at that through the admin section. This is where they control all the information about themselves. Recognition. Recognition is where they upload their own photo and their message, and this is used in the leader listing report. So if they've uploaded their photo and message, then if they're on the leader listing report, any member can click a link and take a look at their pretty face and their story. And of course, that all needs to be approved by admin. So they upload it. You approve it in admin to make sure they're not uploading Mona V's logo and, join Mona V, it's better than this crappy company. And anytime they try to edit or change their photo, it'll resubmit it. So the minute you edit it, it goes off, and admin reapproves it before it goes back on. So always very safe and positive communication. Newsfeed is exactly the same thing. The newsfeed this is actually just the control settings for the newsfeed that we looked at on the front page, which is the Facebook newsfeed. So this is where I say, show when I sponsor someone in my newsfeed. So that means everyone that's a friend of mine is going to see every time I sponsor someone, which when you're rocking and rolling, you definitely want them to see. When you're not doing anything, you start to wonder if you want them to know you're not doing anything. Show my newsfeed when I rank up. So when I'm promoted to a higher rank, do I want to show that or not? Again, leaders, when you're growing, want to show it. And then they'll start to complain to the company. So you always know when a leader's dead, because they'll start to complain that his guys are complaining that he's not showing sponsoring anyone. And of course, your answer should be, then go frickin' sponsor someone. Right? But of course, leaders get lazy. So this is where the leader can say, yeah, I'm getting lazy, so I'm just going to turn those notifications off and hope nobody notices. So that's sort of member control of what goes on in the newsfeed. Shorten URL is just another little tiny URL type of a function to make it easier for your members. Maybe they don't want to show their company name. Maybe they want to hide. They can shorten a blog entry, whatever. It's just a cute little tool that they can play with for shortening a big long URL to something shorter. And because it's our own homegrown thing, there's still lots of extremely short variations available. You're not looking at a 9-digit number as your tiny URL. Email options, this is just where you control what emails you want to get, what emails you don't want to get. Email downline, this is the email blaster. And friends, this is where you add people to your friends list so they can see your newsfeed. Shopping cart, this is the place where you would actually place your order. And if you've got downloadable items, a downloadable section would show up called product download, where you can download the stuff that they've purchased. So we've got a full download engine that you can power by S3 with Amazon, so it stays fairly inexpensive and secure. So people can buy a downloadable product. Once they've paid for it, you now let them download it X number of times, or for X amount of time. And then under finances, we've got withdrawal and payment types. Viewers, you've already seen them. And support is just where they can look at their FAQ. They can submit a ticket. They can look at only the tickets they've had. Promotion tips is just a way to show you that you can put whatever information you want anywhere, and gives a place to bookmark their site. Because it's a sessioned, very, very secure, safe from hackers site, you'll notice that once you type in domainname.com/username, it changes. You no longer see domain name and you see a bunch of gobbledygook. That's the security GUID. So that means if you try to bookmark that, it's going to be a timed out session. So we give them the ability to bookmark through this little promotion tip section. That's basically it in the members lounge. So again, all the standard stuff you'd expect to see, maybe even some stuff you wouldn't expect to see.